I told you I was gonna make this video, and here it is. The mistakes I made and what not to do when selling a new construction job. I learned the hard way, and I have no ego putting it down. I am as real can be and sharing my story. I'm not too proud of it, my faults, man. The only perfect person on this planet was Jesus, and I stand by that. In this video, we're going over what I should not have done, but I did do when bidding and selling this new house job, from the driveway permit to putting in the basement. Mistakes I made, the crucial things I did not do that would have saved me time and money. So check this one out. Again, no ego. This is real, 100% raw. I'm laying it all out there. So if you guys can learn from my mistakes, good for you. That's why I do YouTube, because when I started doing dirt, I could not find any answers. So here we are. Check it out. Let's go. I'm crying. Oh my God, that was so funny. Hey, good job. Welcome back. How you guys doing? Cole here with more dirt, back with another video. If you're new to my channel, I appreciate you being here. Basically, I do YouTube not to only showcase what I do, but how I got in this business. All my flaws, all the problems I've ran into. I was a HVAC guy, now I'm a dirt guy. Learned this business all by myself. Had no formal education in dirt. I just jumped into it and did it. So now I share my journey with you guys to maybe teach you if that's what you like to do. So thank you for being here. Check out Blue Car Launchpad. That is our Exelon group. We actually teach people how to market, build, scale, run your business. Exelon it's basically like QuickBooks. It's like QuickBooks in a school group. It's a community. There's nothing else like it. It just came out with it. Exelon partnered with me to build this brand, Blue Car Launchpad, and we're trying to help all blue car businesses. Whether you're a plumber, HVAC guy, power wash guy, dirt guy, if you want to learn how to properly learn to do a trade and scale your business, we're here for you. Look, I'm making as simple as videos is how to hook up and unhook a trailer, how to boom down equipment. I'm going to be breaking it down as simple as possible, and we're going to be bringing in guys from other trades in to do the same, because other than trade school, where you guys go to get this education, I learned my education with dirt from YouTube, so I'm trying to give back. Well, I was going to film it inside, but I came outside and I got in the truck. Buzz and Woody was good background noise. I mean, I'm not mad about it, but there's a lot going on. So I don't like filming when my kids are home and my wife's home. I don't like being away from them if I have to. If I can stay inside, hang out with them, I will. But as you can see, oh, you can't tell. Maybe you see the water. It's been raining here. It's muddy here. Tomorrow through Fridays, sunny every day, all day. I have so much to do this week. There's no way I'd have time to edit and post this video tomorrow, which I typically try to upload on Monday nights. So Sunday at 4:12 p.m. we're shooting this video. Anyways, I'm going to go over the permit, driveway permit, the blueprint, what mistakes I made, and what I would look for when you're doing these kind of jobs, and what your county requires when you're doing this kind of work. So this is the permit I received, and off the rip it says 12-inch pipe, 24 foot length, 14 gauge steel. Steel, aka galvanized. I'll just come out and say it. I don't agree with that. This county requires a galvanized steel culvert, so if they have to go out with their vac truck and clean it out, it doesn't get damaged. I've seen more galvanized and steel culverts fail than double wall plastic in my experience. Now, if you have some other experience by that, please leave a comment. I'd like to hear what you've dealt with on that. But the county says, if we have to go out with our vac truck, our county don't do crap. Our county doesn't do anything. Where this house is, it would be an absolute miracle for the county to show up and do anything there within the next 15 years. I'm being dead serious. Bullcrap, my opinion, but I'm a new contractor. I'm new at digging. I'm trying to be as cordial and follow the rules as close as possible. So we got the culvert pictured, which I'll show a picture in the video, and it says driveway entrance may to be no wider than 12 foot. Just Driveway entrance to be no wider than 12 foot wide with no more than a 15-foot radius on each side. Okay, so let's talk about that real quick. 12 foot wide. The whole 12-foot wide thing is going to come into play and why that was such a problem, why it is such a problem. If you're a residential standard driveway and you drive a Ford Fiesta or a Kia Sorento or a Hyundai Sonata, 12-foot wide with a culvert as close as this culvert had to be would be fine. But when you drive a pickup truck and pull anything more than a mower trailer, a 12-foot wide driveway with a 15-foot radius is very inconvenient. So think about that. The driveway is 12 foot wide, and then the end of the radius where it turns like this, it can be no wider than 15 foot wide. And the road, let's just say the road, in this situation, there was no shoulder on either side the way the road was built out. So this whole permit thing gets thrown out the window here shortly. I'll tell you why. There was no shoulder. There was nothing. There was a field, a drop-off, a ditch line, and the road. There was no shoulder on either side because of drop-offs. So this whole entire permit crap, this is why I don't agree with this. There's many reasons I don't agree with this, but the whole following these steps and what they wanted, that's why this was complete bullshit, honestly. So we'll just keep going with the story. So when we were on site, Corey and I were on site, we followed the rules. Driveway approach grade should not exceed 4% plus or minus from the first 5 feet of the driveway, and should not exceed plus or minus 10% grade within 10 foot from the edge of the pavement. So 5 foot from the edge of the pavement off the road, not the shoulder, the road. Mind you, no shoulder here. The road can't be plus or minus 4. That's no problem. 10 foot could be plus or minus 10. That was going to be a problem because we had to cut down the grade, which you'll see in the picture. The grade was pretty steep pulling the driveway. 10 foot off the side of the pavement. Okay. What were we working with? We were working with, I think there was a gas line. The power line was coming off the pole. There was a AT&T line, and then there was the water line. And I called the local township and said, hey, here's what we're dealing with. How deep do you think your water line is? How much on top of it do you need? And they told me, and I can't remember the math, I think he said he wanted 47 inches or 39 inches, something like that on top. And we had, if we cut down to get the right percentage, it was going to be just enough, what he thought. We, I don't know if we probed around or not. I can't remember what we did, but we basically got as close as we could to 10%, and it ended up being within the 2 foot mark to where it worked out. So the water line was not a factor for the grade percentage, but it'll be a factor for what they wanted as far as where the culvert placement was supposed to go. So here's where it gets interesting. Here's where I made my first crucial mistake, which ended up being a blessing and the only way it could have happened in the end. So right here, you see my red underline. It says at least 5 foot from edge of pavement. 5 foot. Out there on the site, I had the prints of this permit pulled up on my phone, and I zoomed in, and it was freezing cold, like I said. My phone was calling saying, I thought it said 5 inches. So, mind you, no shoulder, just the road. I thought this said 5 inches, and I went off that. I went off that note. And this is where I think God, this is where I know God is real, because we followed we went that route. 5 inches off, we dug it, shot grade, sloped it out, put the culvert in, installed it. I'll show you the pictures. Come to find out later, Corey's reading it. Corey's like, Bob, that says 5 feet. I said, what? I said, well, that doesn't make no sense. 5 feet. To do the 5 feet and then to dig down deep enough, then have the right percent grade, like the slope, would not have worked. So we put it in wrong compared to what this paper said. In reality, I'll show you on another blueprint right here. Let me switch to the next blueprint. So here was the proposed culvert we're supposed to go. I went 5 inches off the road, which, like, this shoulder is not there. It's just the road. So just imagine that's the edge of the road. We went 5 inches off. They're saying 5 feet off. There's no way that would have ever worked. The ditch line is literally right there. That is the ditch. And then they have an actual culvert right here. This culvert that the ditch runs to is literally touching the road. And mind you, there is not an ounce of shoulder here. There's no shoulder all the way through there. There's not any shoulder at all. It's just a ditch line. So in reality, that culvert was literally 5 inches off. The ditch line was 5 inches off the road. So we put the culvert in the ditch. You can't tell. You kind of can tell by the contour lines. That sloped up and ramped up so heavy. You can see right here in these contour lines and these contour lines, that's a steep slope. So we put this culvert at 5 inches off the shoulder. I had a mini panic attack. I thought I did it wrong. Come to find out, after I spoke to the county, I called the county. I told them what I did. I said, hey, man, here's what happened. I misread it, for one. And for two, the ditches, literally 8 inches off the road is where the ditch is going to be. If we're going, what was it? 8 inches off the edge, and then plus the 6 inches. So 14 inches was the ditch. So 5 inches is what we dug off of. We had a little bit of extra. So technically 8 was a corner of the culvert was 8 inches. So right there, the edge of that was 8 inches to the side of the road. So it was right perfect, 14 inches to the ditch line. He said, as long as you're in the ditch, I don't really care where it goes. That whole 5-foot thing doesn't matter. You have to go in the ditch. So that goes back to my problem with how tight this was to the road. The width became a problem. And our county said 12-foot wide, 15-foot wide radius. That became a problem. So just imagine pulling a truck and trailer off the road right here. That's, let's just say that's a 24-foot road with no shoulder, so it's just a straight 24-foot or 28-foot, whatever it be. Getting a truck and trailer in there is almost impossible. And you can see here how much I cut the bank off. There's a legit wicked steep contour line. The Amish, when they brought in to come in and do the poured walls, they had to take this and dig it all back out. So this whole presented engineer plan was out the freaking window. None of this mattered at the end of the day because it would not work. So that was step one. That was the first, my gosh, I'm following the rules, but the rules aren't working out with what the engineer had wrote down. The engineer did what they're supposed to do. They did a great job. I'm not mad at them. But what was on paper and what was reality were two different things. So you'll notice some more stuff on this print that I followed, but I didn't follow the correct steps. So let's move on. First thing we're going to touch on is silt fence. Silt fence. Whoops. Silt fence. That's something important we're going to touch on today. There is the proposed silt fence line. That red line there is all silt fence. I did not know that had to be trenched in and put up before the job site ever started. I have worked, like I said, I've done excavation around here for going on 4 years now, I think. And I have never had a contractor or customer ever ask me to put silt fence but one time. And the last time I did it was 2023, and the county said nothing about trenching the silt fence. Most contractors I talk to don't even use silt fence. So in this situation, mind you, we were in the country. We're in the middle of absolute nowhere. Like I said earlier, the county going out there to clean out that culvert is a joke. They're never going to do it. We're about 900 foot off the road. Okay, we're in an open crop field with just nothing. And I didn't put silt fence up before I started digging. I did not know that we had to follow to spec this engineer plan with a silt fence. That's what the county was going to go off of. So after we dug the basement out and had all the dirt stock, which we'll get to that in a second, the county was going to put a stop work on this project because it didn't have silt fence up. And I called and I said, hey, first time I'm ever hearing about doing silt fence, I'm not exactly sure. I said, where do you want to put the silt fence at? Mind you, the basement is already dug at this point. There's already dirt staged in certain areas. And he said, just go off the blueprint, what the engineer requested. Okay, that engineered print does not work out with where the dirt was at on the property. So the county is like, I know you have dirt piled at areas that this is going to cover, but I need you to follow their print because that's what we're going off of. How does that make any sense? How does that make any sense at all? That we're going to go off what the engineer said, although the dirt's not even in that area. So, ridiculous. I got the silt fence put up in the area it needed to be in. And I called him and told him, I said, hey, dude, I put the silt fence up, but I'm not going off the engineer plan because that's not going to work. Like, where in the back of this property? Back here in the property where they had proposed silt fence, the dirt, there was already dirt staged up here, there was dirt staged up here, and there was dirt almost all the way down here. I was like, man, we have to go off of somewhere else. And going all the way over here, and they wanted silt fence all the way down the driveway as well. And I said, dude, I'm not putting silt fence all the way down the driveway. If I would have known that this needed to be done before, I guess it's my own fault for not paying attention, not reading into it. Dude, I would have had $1,000 just in silt fence in time. So I didn't get angry with the county guy. I just asked him. I said, dude, do I really have to silt fence all the way along both sides of the driveway? Because in reality, it's going to do nothing. The one side of the driveway, the opposite side of the driveway from the construction, there's nothing there. There's no dirt there. And it's been tracked in. It's got gravel on it. There's no erosion going down there. So I fought him on that. I won on that. He's like, no, don't worry about it. But I did not know. It's probably my own stupid fault for not reading the county rules. I did not know that I had a trench in. They want a 6-inch trench dug all the way in front of the silt fence. You guys probably like, you're an idiot. Yeah, I am an idiot. I didn't pay attention. So I'm taking that on the chin. That's the first dumb move I made in this job. Actually, technically, this is like after I messed up the second time, but we're talking about the silt fence right now. So the silt fence, I did not account for that. So I had to go out there again with a 600-foot silt fence, put it up after I already dug all the dirt out, and I didn't account for that. So I cost myself money there. I cost myself money on the time in the basement, which we'll get in the basement dig now. I'm trying to keep this video kind of short and sweet and just be straight to the point. That way you guys can learn. If I just talk too much, it's kind of a waste of time in my opinion. So if you guys watch the other basement video, if you have not, link below. This was the proposed house. This is the plans I went off of. I measured the cubic yards for this print right here, which I'll zoom in. I measured the cubic yards for this. I went off basement, finished elevation, finished floor elevation, and then we have somewhere over here on the property was like the Bible. There was an engineered stake right here, a pin we went off of. So we went off that. So we ended up digging a 9'8" was going to be the wall height. So all this dirt I counted for taking it out and the time to take it out. What I did not account for, because I'm not good at this. I was reading the prints of like the contour. I'm like, okay, well that's already 714, that's 715, that's going to be the same. No, this is what's going to be after the construction's done. I thought these numbers were now. These numbers are old, or are going to be the new numbers. I had to create this myself. So this contour slope was 715, 715. That was the what they wanted me to make, essentially. That's what they want me to dig. So all of this had to come out, all of this dirt. So basically, you can see the basement, how big the basement is. The whole basement, again, plus some had to come out. So I had to dig out all this extra dirt that I was not accounting for, because the whole back of the house, which we'll go find the blueprint of the back of the house, is a walkout, and it'll make more sense when you see it. There is a rear elevation, so you can see all of that. All of that is wide open out the back. So there's wing walls coming down this side. Coming down this side was on the print, and I just did not account for how far back I was going to have to dig to make it to where it would drain properly. So huge lesson learned. So I bid it for 3 days. It ended up taking me almost 5 days. So it took me a whole week to dig. So I not only cost myself more time, more fuel. It just was the whole thing. I missed it by a lot, but I didn't lose money. I bid it to where I did not lose money. I broke even essentially. But I'm making this video so you guys learn from my mistakes. Again, I talk about that all the time. When you're doing a basement, especially a walkout, those numbers on a blueprint does not necessarily mean that's what it is now. That's what they want to be. And I was confused by that, because if you look, we'll go back right here. Well, let's see. The dotted line is where it was currently. The solid line is where it wanted to be after the dig. I was going off the solid line. I did not pay attention to the dotted line. So my dumb butt was going off these, thinking, oh, it's already dug that way. See that these are all what it is now. And then all these solid lines up here are where I'm going to put in. So these are all existing, and then all the solids are going to be the new contour lines that I put in and I grade off. So, whoops. I'm going to do that. I learned real time, and that is what I learned on this job. How to read blueprints on the fly too. So, at the end of the day, it's 110% my fault. There's no one else to blame. I guess for one, I didn't learn how to read blueprints correctly, which I've went over these blueprints with multiple people, and they were all just as confused as I was. And I didn't pay attention to the county codes like I was supposed to. I followed the permit to what I was supposed to follow in the driveway installation. Could have followed an installation to the permit because it wouldn't work that way. So everything I did was thrown out the window. The only thing I did do was dig off the engineer's numbers, and I still messed that up because I assumed something that I shouldn't have assumed. And I hope you guys take this and write it down and remember it so you do not do this. And if you get a set of blueprints, I highly recommend calling the builder, the engineer, and ask questions. What does this line mean? What does this line mean? Because in reality, it could save you or make or break you with thousands of dollars like it did myself. So I hope you enjoyed this video. And I know it's boring, it's not the normal content, but I wanted to film this to show you really what I did and what not to do. So I appreciate you guys watching. As always, God first, family second, work third, more dirt.